Welcome back, everybody. Last week on Joy of Gratitude, I talked about how we need to learn to appreciate and hear the messages that Hashem is sending us. And I shared some personal stories. After that, over the last week, I've been contacted by quite a few people. Some are asking me, how do you learn to see and hear Hashem's messages? Others wanted to share times where they felt that they heard Hashem communicating to them in their day-to-day lives. So perhaps the best way to answer the first question, the question that people were asking, is to share some of the examples that some other viewers have experienced. In each case, the message is very, very subtle. It could be easily overlooked and excused as completely circumstantial. However, the person involved in it noticed it and felt grateful for the messages. But before I share some of these stories, this week's Joy of Gratitude has been sponsored anonymously as a merit for me. Thank you. May Hashem continue to give me the strength and ability to spread these positive messages and bring some joy and meaning into people's lives. So thank you, anonymous sponsor. So here's the first story. I'll say it out in the person's own words. Last Sunday, I was leaving a kosher shop in Edgware, that's northwest London, when a homeless man approached me as I was getting into my car, and he asked whether I would like to buy one of his drawings from him. I responded almost in a robotic way, saying, "I'm sorry, I don't have any change to give you." He asked me if I liked his drawing, to which I replied, "It was beautiful, and I'm sorry that I couldn't purchase one." As I got into my car, I noticed the pound coin, which I've kept in the same little slot for a very long time, to use when I go to the supermarket to release a trolley. That's a shopping cart for our American viewers. I opened my window, called the man over, and told him it was my trolley pound, but I would like him to have it. The man was grateful, and I felt good about it. I then completely forgot about this until I went to the supermarket yesterday. As I was parking, I realized I no longer had a pound coin to get a trolley. I quickly processed the fact that I would need to get change from inside the store. But as I stepped out of my car, I saw a stray abandoned trolley just meters away. Of course, I made use of the trolley, and after finishing my shopping, I returned it to the trolley park. And when I attached it to the line of trolleys, out popped a £1 coin. The very pound which was intended for my supermarket trolley that I had given away was returned to me by Hashem in this trolley. It was such a small thing, but to me it was a very loud, wonderful, clear message from Hashem. That's the story, but it doesn't end there. When I asked permission to use the story, he agreed, and he added, "On a personal note, I can share with you that I've always found it challenging to part with money. I'm frugal and a little stingy, to say the least. I decided that I wanted to grow and actively work on that on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So recently, I've been giving more tzedakah spontaneously. 2 weeks ago, I won £150 from premium bonds. Premium bonds is for those who don't know, it's like an investment and a lottery combined. So he won £150 from premium bonds. And that is quite close to the amount I've given since Rosh Hashanah. There is an ongoing clear message to me from Hashem that I should give generously with an open heart, and Hashem will look after me in return." That's the first story. Second story, a young lady emailed me to say that she lives on her own and she doesn't drive. So whenever she needs to order anything, let's say from the supermarket, she has to do it online, and normally she has to pay extra to have it delivered. This past week, she was in the process of preparing her order online when she got a call from her father. Her father wanted to tell her that the next day, when he was supposed to be picking her up from work, he's going to have to make a little bit of a detour to the optometrist to pick up his new glasses. And would she mind? Now, this is not normally the sort of thing her father would call her about. He would, just ask her during the drive the next day. But he called and she said, "Yeah, no problem." And it was at that moment that she realized that this eye doctor is right next to the supermarket where she would normally shop. so she could pop in, pick up her order herself. In that way, she would avoid the extra fees, and she wouldn't have to wait for the order to arrive. Her father had called at exactly the right time. Now, although this was a very minor thing, she explained in this email that she's been dealing with something bigger in her life, and she felt that this was Hashem's way of saying, don't worry, I didn't forget you. And finally, third story. Someone who lives in Israel told me the following story. Now, if you're in Israel, you know what it's like at the moment, but the weather in Israel is like an English summer. In other words, it's warm and sunny, and then suddenly, without warning, the skies will open and it will rain really heavily. So this person had an appointment with someone in a local shul, and he decided that as he was going to be going to the shul anyway, instead of coming straight home afterwards, where he would probably most likely get distracted and waste his time, instead he would stay out and do some Torah learning in the shul after the meeting. He agreed with his wife that he could stay out until 6 o'clock. Now, he made the vital mistake that just before he was leaving, he looked outside, it looked so sunny, he thought, wonderful, I won't drive, I'll walk there. And he also didn't take a coat or an umbrella. As soon as he got to the appointment, the heavens suddenly opened and a thunderstorm started, and it went on for hours. But just when it got to 6 o'clock, the rain stopped. As he walked home, he heard the message loud and clear. Hashem approved of his change of schedule. If he hadn't arranged to stay on longer, he'd been walking home in the middle of the downpour. Hashem was telling him, well done for making this change in your schedule. Now, each one of these, I agree, they're very, very subtle messages. It would be easy to not notice them at all. But if we begin to train ourselves to look for them, we will start to see and appreciate them. In a couple of weeks' time, we're going to read the story of Yosef and his brothers. After the brothers throw Yosef into the pit, there's a very interesting pasuk, a very interesting verse. It says, the brothers lifted up their eyes and they saw, and behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites were coming from Gilad, and their camels were laden. They were carrying spices and balm and lotus on their way to sell them in Egypt. So the Midrash asks, why do we need to know what they were carrying? What relevance is it to the story that they were laden with spices? And this is what the Midrash says. The Midrash explains that normally traders such as these would be carrying foul-smelling naphtha and tar. But Hashem didn't want Yosef to have to suffer that bad smell. And therefore he arranged that the specific traders who were going to be going past would be carrying pleasant smelling spices. Now, if you know anything about the story, you should immediately have a problem with this. Yosef's been betrayed by his brothers. He's been sold into slavery. He's got years of pain and suffering ahead of him. Who cares about the smell? Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz famously provides a crucial answer. Yosef was about to embark on a really difficult time in his life. And yes, of course, the smell on his way to Egypt would make little difference. But if Yosef was sensitive to it, and he was, he would realize that something was different here. Normally it would smell foul. And he would realize that Hashem was sending him a message, that all of this may look terrible, but know that I am with you. I will make it smell sweet. Now, I wouldn't know because I'm English, but I'm told that tomorrow is a significant day, a day when people take a moment to be thankful for all the wonderful things and people in their life. And for us, part of that has to be being thankful for these hidden messages he's sending us all the time, where he's telling us that he's here with us and supporting us even at difficult times. We have to stop and smell the spices. Thank you for joining us. And if you would like to share a personal story, or if you'd like to sponsor a future episode of Joy of Gratitude, please email me on menachem@journeytobetterspeech.com. Those are all words, one long word, or send me a message via Facebook. See you next week.